Hey everybody, thank you for being here for Deborah Kobylt Live. Today, I've got a friend of mine in studio, Joanna Lipari. Joanna, thank you so much for being here.
Delighted to be here.
Now, you are here because, first of all, we met in a writing class together.
Correct.
Okay, and now you've taken that many steps further. And on Valentine's Day, you're going to be opening up your first one-woman show, correct?
Correct. My solo multimedia show at the Co-op Pacific Resident Theater.
Which is in Venice. And the name of the show is Activities of Daily Living. And let me tell you something. This thing is hysterical because I've heard some of your vignettes. Mm-hmm. They had me on the floor laughing. There are times in my life when I'm just going through the day and I'll think about some of the stuff that you've written. And the fact that one of those stories, I call it The Elf, made it in there really warms my heart. It's hysterical. Why did you write this thing?
Well, I'm over 65. I got my Medicare card. And I didn't know it came with an invisibility cloak. I'm telling you, Deb, I realized I could rob banks. The older you get, the more you disappear.
Okay, that would be a lot of fun. So you're 65, you can rob a bank, nobody would really notice or give a shit.
Right.
I'll just drive the getaway car. That sounds like something
You're
to do.
on. Let's go for it.
You know, I would love to do that. Okay,
but I didn't want to be silent.
Yeah.
I wanted to be funny.
I don't think anybody wants to be silent, whether they're 30, 40, 50, 70, but there is something that happens, right, when we're aging and getting a little bit older that I call it over 40. You know, somehow you're not listened to as much, but you're like, I'm not going down that way. I'm writing my story. I love this.
Exactly. And so I started, as when you and I met in a writer's workshop that was run by Beth Dunnington, our good friend, who is also, by the way, the director of
there she is.
Activities of Daily
There
Living.
She is. There's our Beth. Look at her, hard at work.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that. Okay, so Beth is directing this down at the theater in Venice. Opens on, I was going to say Halloween night. Opens on Valentine's night. Tell me, what it is.
Well, my idea was to actually do a two-hander. And I made the other character my animation and illustrations. And the idea is that when you tell a story, sometimes it's auditory and you can act it out and that's great. But if you also have visual references and beautiful pictures and animation that you can use in different ways, we're kind of used to going to see a movie and just watching it.
Let me stop you there. Nick,
okay.
Show some of those incredible animation. Let's look over there. What is that we're looking at?
What we're looking at right now is actually One Cell, and that's from a story called Quattro Angeli.
What's that about?
It's about, in 2009, after my divorce, I took myself to Sicily. I was destroyed. My story about my divorce is also in there, and it helped me heal. As a matter of fact, part of the reason that it's in there is to let people know that when you go through a heartbreaking divorce,
or anything,
you will come out the other side. You just have to keep on trucking.
Well, look, let's get the shot up of those 3 guys or 4 guys that you were. Yeah, that'll help. Those Sicilian men.
Exactly. And I call them mi quattro angeli, my 4 angels. I met them in Sicily. I spent one meal with them and they revived me. And the picture one was so handsome. I swear to God, he looked like Jean-Paul Belmondo. Oh. But the picture before that, when they're flying, it's because although they were stonemasons repairing a cathedral, they actually were only posing as stonemasons.
They were
angels that saved me.
That's beautiful. I love the animation. Who did that?
Well, I didn't know anything about animation, but after phone call after phone call after phone call, I found a guy named Ralph Guggenheim who had been a producer on Toy Story. And after many phone calls and bugging him, he sent me to an animation producer here in LA called Ron Diamond. He has a company, Acme Filmworks, and that's where I went, and he put me together with a very, very talented young artist named Anna Braun, and she did all the artwork.
What do? You show Anna all of this, your script, and then she comes up, because I think the animation on it is beautiful. And let's remember, this is behind you.
Right, you're on a 10-foot screen.
On a 10-foot screen, and you're doing your thing. And the animation pops up behind you, which is really great because you can follow the story. Those are the characters that are in your story.
And sometimes I interact with them. They never talk. It's not a movie.
Right.
Sometimes I interact with them. Sometimes what you're seeing, maybe the streets of Italy, or you'll see my kindergarten classroom, and what's being illustrated is actually a complicated set design. Sometimes, as in one of my stories about getting lost in a parking garage, it actually moves as I'm moving. And I'm interacting, and the animation and I are doing a dance together to tell the story.
You read that to me when we were in your home.
Yes, thank you.
And I was riveted, because you're a terrific actress and writer. And again, you wrote all this.
Yes.
You can really move me and pull me in. Can you do one for me now that you think everyone would enjoy hearing? Maybe one that's funny, one that's a little short that we can condense.
Well, I did the very first story that I talk about is the way the play opens is I tell everyone that I was actually the first time that I was ever suspended from school. I was in kindergarten, and I was suspended for 2 weeks for knocking Sister Mary Virgilius unconscious. I did it with a bag of blocks, and you got to come to the show to see the story.
Is this the nun one?
This is the nun one. So at the very end of the story, I explained all that would happen. But all these many years later, I remember seeing her underwear. And in the show, I let you see what her underwear looks like.
Through the animation. But what's hysterical is these are all sort of the kind of things that we think, look, I went to Catholic school, and I didn't even know if they wore underwear. I mean, nuns scared me so much back then. I understand them a little more now. I think I understand their journey in life. But back then, when you're 5 years old and you've got a nun who's sort of on your case, and then what? I think she fell back. I mean, can I give a little of the story away?
Yeah,
you remember the underwear.
She committed a crime that I could not forgive, and so I took a bag of blocks and threw it at her, and she fell back. Her skirt popped up, and I saw her underwear.
And therefore, oh my God, that's a funny thing. You also have one that I love that you read in the workshop. I don't think we have any animation on that. Oh my God. It's about when you were making little elves or something.
Yes,
over
my
Christmas.
sister, who was a year older than me, does a lot of very, very crafty things. And she made a pair of elves, and I'm not crafty, but I know how to make money even at 10 years old. And I said, I'm going to make these elves. And I had an elf factory, and I sold these elves all over my neighborhood. I gouged my family and friends, and eventually my workers, which was my sister and my best girlfriend, Rhonda Ackerman, went on strike. And I learned some very important lessons.
And this was just before Christmas when your elf production line
I was
had
going
to
great.
keep going. It's like, wait a minute, we're striking and it's the day before Christmas Eve. It's like, what do you mean? So you had to get that life lesson, right? But the way you wrote it is so funny, Joanna. I'm telling you, that's the one thing that from time to time, it'll just pop in my head and I cannot stop laughing. That's what I mean. Like, this show is not, it's just hilarious. And then the fact that you've got the graphic behind you really makes it come to life, I have to tell you.
Well, that was my idea, was to extend beyond the idea of just telling stories or a memoir show or something like that, but actually to draw people in to realize that when you see a very old person on the street, you don't really see that there was a full life. Now, some people maybe didn't have a full life, but many of us do and did. And so I wanted this to be sort of a tribute to all of us that get older. And by using funny and touching stories, I tell a very sad story in the
Which one is that?
It's called The Black Umbrella.
What's that about?
And really what it's about is my anger at men and the way I dealt with a young man that was in my life. And I was completely wrong. And
you were wrong with the way you dealt with it?
With him, and I hurt him.
I gotta hear this one.
I hurt him very badly, and I'm copping to my sin.
Oh, wow. Did you invite him to the play? I mean,
I don't know.
Because maybe, there you go, restitution for your sins.
Right.
I guess that's a no. So, okay, so we've got the young man. We've got the 4 good-looking, handsome guys in Sicily. Do you notice where my mind always goes? The young guy, the good-looking guys in Sicily. Yes. We've got the elves, cute little elves. And I know you have a collection of what's like 10 or so stories that you do?
Yeah, they're in the show. It's there's which I'm not going to spoil for you. There is a prologue and an epilogue where I play a different character completely. And then I proceed to do some slam poems which are it's just sort of a modern, like, I chase ghosts, but I ignore the living. I covet other successes, but I release all envy because, and that's kind of, it's much more hip and pounding than standing and reading in a poetry corner. I do 7 stories and 2 narratives, and I read you one of the narratives.
Which
about
one?
Twigs, about being little twigs on the forest floor.
Oh, that's
Talking
really sort of metaphorical. I mean,
Yes,
that's, you
yes.
really have to sit there. It took me about a minute and I go, oh, they're not really twigs?
Yeah.
I had to really focus on that.
Right.
So that was beautiful.
Thank you.
By the way, that
Thank
was
you.
really, really good. Do you have another one that you could do that you think people, just, I just loved watching you do sort of the rap thing. Do you have
Well, one of the things I do in one of the poems, because I was married for 25 years, and when my divorce ended, it was really devastating. And I have a story. It was the original story I ever wrote.
but did you run him over under a
Right.
bus?
I know. So it's called Divorce is Hilarious After You Stop Crying. And actually, that story, as I read it just at a night of story reading, has over 11,000 views on YouTube, me just reading it.
Yeah, I like that. You've done a few things on YouTube, right? Just you, just standing there reading. And you've done, 11,000, 13,000, 31,000, I think. For which one?
Nuns, Jews, and Negroes, of which my Nunderwear story is part of.
It's interesting because that's a lot, 31,000 views. It's not like you're on a table dancing naked, which, where people get millions of views. But a lot of times I think with YouTube, it's in the title. What's the name of it? Nuns,
Jews, and Negroes.
Yeah, I mean, it's in
and Divorce is Hilarious After You Stop Crying, Quattro Angeli, The Parking Garage. I'm writing a new story right now, which is Why Does Mr. Wrong Keep Texting Me? So I look for things that can tell you where my humor is going. Look, here's the deal. I was an actress starting from the time I was in my early 20s. I had a marriage. I adopted a daughter and raised her. I left for over a decade and was a clinical psychologist. And
Yeah, that's incredible. In between all this, you stopped acting and became a clinical psychologist, right? You went over to Pepperdine and got your degree.
And then taught at UCLA.
Right. And then you decided to get back into acting and write your stories.
Right.
I do think what you're deeply talented at as a young person always sort of comes back because it's almost like a full circle thing you're doing.
Well, you got to keep following your passion. If you follow your passion, sometimes you have to take an extra job or do whatever. But if you follow your passion, eventually talent will out. And the more you follow your passion, the more you can survive and even heal yourself. As I said, through the divorce, I could heal myself through my own writing, through my own work. And whether you're a knitter, a writer, you build toys, whatever, that passion can drive you.
Couple things though, and you know this as well as I do. You can't give up, even if you feel like you're at the bottom of the well and you just can't do it anymore.
Well,
you just have to. Even if you take a little break and say, I'm taking a break, but I'm getting back to it. Because I've been there too. It's not just about writing. It doesn't matter what you're going through. And that perseverance, right? It got you where you are here.
Right.
A little bit about your acting. You've been in ER, China Beach, Persons Unknown, Head of the Class. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
And Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 3.
We talked about that. I was in Part 7. I came in later. So if you look me up, I get blown up. So, oh, darn, I gave it away. Spoiler alert. What did you do in Nightmare on Elm Street? I tell you, they just went on forever, Wes Craven.
They did. I played a nurse who transforms into whatever that guy is. I forget what the name of the guy is.
You got transformed into that
I got
creepy guy?
transformed into the creepy guy. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ugh. So then what? Did
Rennie
you have to...
Harlan directed my.
Oh, so that was bigger than mine. I was a newscaster. But
That's good.
yeah, why not? I mean, typecasting is always a good thing. But he was a good guy, wasn't he, Wes Craven? Were you on set with Wes?
I know I didn't really see him, but the reputation he had that he was a really, really great guy.
He was wonderful. He even took advice from me. He goes, well, is this what a newscaster would do? I said, no. Here's what you need to do. And I'm thinking, really, Deborah? Somebody said to me, he's an important guy. I said, well, he asked,
Well, again, when you're interested in what you're doing, you want to learn every single day.
And collaborate. You're right about that.
Exactly. Because you're not afraid that somebody knows something you don't know.
You know what I like about the way your mind works? As a little kid, what happened with the nun and the little details stayed in your mind. And you probably acted it out and wrote it out so many times in your head.
Yes.
until it came out here
Right.
for all of us to see at activities of daily living. I love, but that's really the journey of a writer, right? And an artist.
Yeah, I mean, it's the imagination. It's the beautiful, wonderful world of the imagination. Whether I'm reading somebody else's work and I'm transported to, in a murder mystery or whatever you're doing, that's the wonder. It's living large. It's making your life bigger than what you normally think it would be.
Did you always want to be an actress and a writer when you were a little kid?
Always.
Really?
Never wanted to be anything else. I
What were
am
you
a
like?
magazine writer. I published in major magazines.
Where? List them. I didn't know this.
Self Magazine, Vanity Fair. I did interviews for American Airlines magazine that you read.
But what were the interviews? Being an actress, or
No,
was
no,
it based
no,
on your being a psychologist?
but I did a lot for Self Magazine. I wrote a lot about psychology before I went to graduate school.
Wow.
And then I still write periodically and consult with CNN, actually, with Elizabeth Cohn there on some of their psych stories. And I've done a lot of different things. I worked at law firms. I've done a lot of things. But since I was 4 years old, I could think of it. I wanted to be an actor.
Let's talk about our darling Beth, who
Yes.
runs these workshops all around the country now, right?
Yeah.
She started in Hawaii, I think. She does them in LA.
Yeah, they're called the Big Hawaii Writers Workshop, Beth Dunnington.
Beth Dunnington. And she gets a collection of, interesting people, I will say. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And what's in the room stays in the room.
Right.
And we write about whatever. It's always interesting. And then it's a read back. But I don't know. She just, it's her approach.
Yeah, she has a way.
What is it about her?
She has a way. The workshop isn't about, someone saying, "Oh, I didn't like your story because I think it should have gone in that direction," or blah blah. It's about supporting each other and about reflecting back to the writer what they're hearing, not what the listener wishes the story would go, or being discouraging or being competitive.
Not at all.
Instead, we're very, very supportive. We really love each other. We care about each other.
Yeah, we really do. I think about everyone all the time, even though I actually haven't attended in a while. I think about everyone all the time and their stories. And when I see little posts that they've made, I'm thinking, I know why they're having that kind of day.
And a number of books have come out of her writers' workshop.
I know.
As well. And I think another performance piece, but I'm not sure about that. But it was some fabulous, I call them the writing goddesses of Los Angeles.
That's what she calls them too, her writing goddesses.
And Beth takes someone in pretty much through referral. She'll talk to you and see and give you a try, and and that's how there's a core group of us that are
always there,
that are always together. And she's now just started a number of them in New York. She goes to Portland, San Francisco.
But she's also a director, and the fact that she
Yes.
took your project on, it must have a certain quality to it. I mean, what's it like working with her as a director?
Oh, she's amazing. She runs the Kihilo Theater on the Big Island of Hawaii, which is a 550-seat equity theater, and she directs there. She runs youth workshops. She's a teacher, a mentor, a director, and she's enormously talented. She catches little details that completely go by me, and when she catches a little detail and puts her touch on it, man, it's something. It sparkles.
I'm really looking forward to seeing this. So what do you do? So pen to paper, literally pen to paper. She doesn't want you to write on the computer.
No.
And initially I'm like, what? But it works. There's something about picking this thing up and your thought going this way onto a piece of paper. It does work. So pen to paper, and now it's on the stage with animation behind you. Did you ever expect that when you started this writing class?
No.
Yeah.
No, I was very pleased that Divorce is Hilarious got 11,000 views and Nuns, Jews, and Negroes got 31,000 views. But I never thought about having a show. I never thought about any of that. All I thought about, frankly, all that I think about every day is what can I do to become a better artist, whether it's as a writer, as an actor, or as a mother.
Or as a mother, yeah, because you adopted your daughter, who was
Right. Now
beautiful
21.
and lovely, who's now 21. But also, let's talk about, you also do voiceover work too.
Yeah, I made a matter of fact, even bought my house from the supervising sound editor of Star Trek. The old guys did the first feature film. I was hired, and they sent me to Klingon school at Paramount to learn how to improvise in Klingon. And
Wait, what is that?
Klingon is the Kling language that the space aliens.
I don't think I could ever do that. This is why you're a good actress.
I also made up alien languages. One of the ones they used a lot was click language.
Yeah, okay.
And then formulated. And then, so I started doing the Star Trek movies. Then I started doing the voiceovers on the Star Trek TV shows.
Oh, wow.
I did computers. And so I would, yes, we have your whatever, your technical blah, blah, blah. I would do that.
I'm so good at voiceover work, but I wouldn't even know how to break in. I mean, I can be anything to anybody. I could be a baby. I can be so much. But that's a tough one to crack into.
It is, and I got lucky years
Yeah.
ago. I got an opportunity to do one day doing ADR on a miniseries on ABC. And the woman who ran the group, it was called the Looping Group, Barbara Harris, she came up to me at a break and said, "You want to do this?" And I said, "You bet some Red Rider." So that's how I started.
I have a great idea for a TV show. Why don't we do the writers group and have a few of us in there and just, wouldn't it be fun?
Yeah, it could be a lot of fun. And we do flashbacks back to their real lives.
I think that'd be great because I want to be in it. That's why I'm saying that, because,
I do too.
Well, I'll let you be in it. But, I just think, wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah,
Like if we got a group of us together and do something about writers and the whole process, and women of a certain age. Again, I call it over 40 because I just lump us into the same category. I really do. Because I remember when I turned 40, it wasn't even long ago, but when I turned 40, I thought, oh God, now what? I don't know, something about the number bugged me. But then who cares? I just released it. So, I'm just saying, it's an idea.
Actually, my thought, now that I've passed 65, is that women spend far too much time worrying about how they look. And they should spend more time in what they want and how they feel.
It is true. And if you just, but then it's also very difficult because even when I started in TV, it was, they didn't even want me with darker hair. And they said, "Oh, you look too ethnic." I'm thinking, oh. And I had to worry about what I looked like because somebody else was worrying about what I looked like. I think we're getting away from that more and more,
Well, the more women claim their power.
Yeah, and that just sounds like a phrase, but it's true.
It is true.
You just have to get in there and just do what you like to do, and there's got to be somebody out there who wants to hear it and see it.
Exactly.
You're right. You're right about that.
But people. I was a character actress when I was younger, and I was on a lot of TV shows. And
what other ones?
now you're asking me to recite them. I did a bunch of movies that I'm not going to discuss. I did.
Why?
Because
are they X-rated?
No. Some of them are cult sci-fi classics for which I do not want to be remembered.
Hey, it's a
I was
paycheck.
in Honeymoon in Vegas is one movie that I was on. But what I was going to say is that, you start out, and I was a character actress. I wasn't the leading lady. I wasn't the ingenue. I was going to be the best buddy at best. And everyone would say to me, "Oh, you can't, no, just give it up. You can't do this. You can't do this." And I just kept doing it. I kept doing it. And I kept saying to people, I don't need 500 jobs. I don't need to know that 80% of the Screen Actors Guild is unemployed. I just need to get one job at a time. And that's all I have focused on. And I was lucky that I had voice work that could keep the money coming in. And it was great paying. And to this day, thank you very much, Star Trek, because somewhere in the world, the residuals are being created by running Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, Next Generation, et cetera, et cetera.
I still get residuals, by the way, from Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Oh, they're big, too. Are yours big? Mine are enormous. I got one for 69 cents. I mean, they're big. I think the biggest one I ever got was like $10.39. I framed it. I'm like, oh, I got this going now. I mean, they're so small. I wonder why they even put them in the mail,
Well, that's a long political discussion we can have about that.
And I get it. You got to get your due because
Yeah.
it's part of the union and everything. Sometimes, I haven't been cashing them because I just don't. And I wonder, like, in 20 years, is there going to be, like, unclaimed money for me somewhere that the government's, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to accrue interest,
I don't.
If
know.
you don't cash checks, whatever it is, $10, you end up with like money owed to you. It goes into this account somewhere. I don't know. I'll get back to you on that. But
Yeah.
do you know what I'm
I think
talking
you
about,
could
you
probably
guys?
Google and see if there's money owed to you. I know unclaimed tax money sits around.
No, that I would be on top of. But I'm just saying I don't cash my checks because they're truly usually under $2 or $3.
Oh, I love them. I've gotten a residual for a penny.
And you cash it?
And I cash it. A penny's a penny.
Yeah.
And I earned it. I earned it acting.
I give it to my kids and I'm like, frame this. This is from when I was in a big time motion picture. Anyway, so let's get back to the play.
Okay.
It opens on
February 14th.
Thank you. I keep
Valentine's Day, 8
night.
o'clock.
Valentine's. Where else do you want to spend your Valentine's night than with Joanne, honestly? I think I'm going to be there. So and how many weeks does it run in Los Angeles?
This is just sneak previews.
Right.
It's not getting reviewed. I'm just doing these 12 performances. So it starts on February 14th, Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 8, Sunday at 3. It's a very small theater at Pacific Resident Theater.
It's a cool theater, though. It's got such a fun vibe.
It's got a great vibe. It's
Yeah.
only 36 seats, so it's like being in somebody's living room. And I'm doing it because I'm packaging the show to go on the road, to take it to various theaters. I want to go to Edinburgh in Scotland for the Fringe Festival.
That's fun.
To go to do a run in New York. I have leads to do a run in London. I've been invited to do a run back here in LA. And actually, I'm doing a run at Beth's Theater at the Kihilu. And I've just talked today to a theater in New Mexico and one in Arizona. So
That's fun.
I want to package it up and take it on tour. And in order to do that, I'm making an electronic press kit and recording it and doing all that fun stuff. Hence, 12 sneak previews. If you want to see it before I come back here, where they're going to charge a lot more for tickets, come to these 12 performances. Please, I can use all the support.
She's amazing, guys. I'm telling you, I wouldn't send you anywhere unless I really, really loved it. I just wouldn't do it, friend or not. Activities of Daily Living with Joanna Lipari.
Yes.
Did I get it right?
Lipari.
Yeah, we had to practice, even though I know her. I kind of wasn't saying with Joanna Lipari, and my vote is to go. It'd be a fun evening on Valentine's, but if you're tied up that night, there's other performances. So.
Yep.
I commend you. I think this will be a lot of fun. I thank you for coming into my studio.
Oh, I'm so
Did
honored.
you enjoy it?
I had a wonderful time. Well, you're such a fabulous person and such a great dynamic person. So how could I not?
Thank you. After I interviewed a psychic earlier today telling me I was a pain in the ass. And I'm like, I don't know. It just depends upon who you get in the room. Anyway, thank you very much, Joanna, for being here.
Deborah.
Everybody, please go see Activities of Daily Living next week. Thank you for tuning in. What?
February 14th.
February 14th. Thank you. And we will be back next week. Deborah Kobylt Live. You can see us on Facebook, YouTube, and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and so forth. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.